Hey everyone, it's Dr. Nic and Professor Mike with Divine Guidance Institute coming at you. Yes, Modern Day Mystery School. Today we're going to talk about the art of spiritual warfare and spiritual solutions to get you through.
And I am sure you were thinking, warfare, we're not in the middle of a war, really. An inner war, what's going on inwardly, it's really a vibrational war. Think about it, how bad things feel. Like, my God, I walked into a store and I was feeling great when I walked in. I walked out. I was actually depressed, or I felt anxiety, or even fear. Or you go out on the road and suddenly road rage, people screaming at you, want to bust a goddamn cap in you. Whoa. And you're feeling all this inner disharmony. That's the inner war. It's a vibrational war, and it's continual now on a daily basis because of the shift in vibrations. When we shift vibrations, literally we shift realities, and we can feel it very dramatically inwardly. So specifically, I don't know, Nick, what are the problems that people are going through? You want to talk about a few of them?
Yeah, there's a ton. There's a plethora. One of my favorite
What's
words.
a plethora?
A lot.
Oh,
a lot.
a lot.
A lot, a lot, a lot. Yeah. You know, we'll back up because you just mentioned the inner war, the inner vibration. We heard 2 stories this week alone of road rage, personal stories, people we were talking to that said they experienced road rage on the highway this week alone. And they weren't victims of it. They were engaged in it. And these are cool people that are pretty mellow. And so, you know, someone just kind of got on their ass, and then they retaliated with some, with their window wiper fluid, and then it turned into a full-blown cat and mouse back and forth on the highway for miles. It even continued off the highway. Good thing, her higher self took over, and she said, enough, I've got to stop this. And so she got back on the highway and calmed down and went to work. But we're talking about this kind of stuff. The vibrations today are real coarse. They're harsh, and you can feel it. As Michael mentioned, you're in a good mood, things are cool, you go to the store. Then, after the store, it's like you don't feel as happy as you were. Well, what's going on? Well, a blending of vibrations. Someone else at the store was not in a great mood. They were depressed, they were angry in their own little world. But our vibes are blending all the time, 24/7. So it doesn't matter that nothing was directed toward you. You picked up on their vibe and a blending occurred, and now you're carrying their vibe. Now you're kind of fucked up. You're not as well as you were. You're not as happy. So this is going on 24/7. This is part of the problem. But on a larger scale, different moods, suicides off the chart, anger, the road rage, the gun incidents, murder incidents, people walking down the street punching people, like all this kind of stuff. This chaos is going on. The anxiety, the depression, getting blindsided. Have you ever felt you can't sit still? That's a vibrational thing. You're not feeling harmonious. Again, the anger and scrolling is off the charts, and the vibrations from electronics. This is one of your favorites. Why don't you tell them about the study you did with electronic addiction and deprivation?
Yeah, when we turn on the TV or we spend too long on the phone or sit in front of our laptop for 3 or 4 hours, there's a vibration, direct vibration, literally, physically, that comes from that piece of instrument, that technology, and it affects us inwardly. And when we're exposed to it, we tend to feel the result is usually depression. It triggers depression, anxiety, fear, disharmony all over. And I did a study when I was teaching at college. I had them, if they, rather than write a paper or even take the final, I said, if you turn your TV off, I had them turn it off for a week. All you got to do is turn it off for a week and tell me you did so and how you felt about it. What happened? Just a paragraph. And you'll get an A for the quote. Whoa. And I said, you're thinking you're all going to get A's, but you know what you'll get? Nothing, because you really can't leave that TV off. I made a bet with them. They started shouting and yelling. Of course I can. The interesting thing that came out about it, of the experiment, was that everyone who turned the TV off had a life-changing experience. And it was like, oh my God, Mike, my relationship, I started talking to my significant other. I realized we hadn't talked in days, weeks, months. We hadn't really communicated or connected. And I started paying attention to what I really like to do. My career got better. My focus got better. I actually connected with my parents that I hadn't seen in a year. It was like, whoa, the love, the connectivity in turning off.
Even the discipline.
The discipline. Yes.
People started working out. They started having sex with their mate. They started communicating and talking more. These things happen.
Gone for long walks, being aware of what was going on a daily basis.
I was your student.
Yep.
We need to refocus. I was Michael's student. That's how we met all these years ago. So I went through the deprivation, electronic deprivation. Of course, I got an A because all you had to do was do the project, turn it off. And again, it was. Since then, I never watched TV again. That's what happened, okay? It was really astounding. It totally broke that habit. And I didn't watch TV much, only like a show at night maybe. But I totally, it totally changed everything. Then we got together, and then to get collectively together, we didn't even watch TV. Now we enjoy a show and the movies and now and then, but the TV stays off all day long. We're working, we're doing things. We don't turn the TV on. Some people turn it on. Most people turn it on for background noise. And that's part of the problem here, the noise. And I wanted to get to that, But anyhow, the TV deprivation, the electronic deprivation study we challenge you to consider. Now, I know computers and phones, that's daily now. So it's hard to get away from that. But mindless scrolling, that could be your challenge. No scrolling. If you've got a job to do, you do the job and that's it type of thing. Or no television for 7 days. However you want to adjust the challenge for yourself. But actually go ahead and challenge yourself in some way if you're up for it to get those vibes, because here's what happens. The atoms, the vibes from the electronics, as you know, because it's all over the media, it's very disruptive to us, to your central nervous system, to your subatomic particles. So when people turn these things off, all of a sudden some harmony comes in, some peace. You can feel it.
And, that was back then, the electronic deprivation. Now, when you bring it forward, it's times 10. It's times 100. Mm-hmm. It's not just the TV anymore. Like Nicole said, it's scrolling and phones and laptops. The noise is so intense, and it's 24/7. People aren't even aware of it, that they're on the technology, that they're really going into disharmonious vibes 24/7. So I promise you one thing. I can guarantee this. If you can even turn that stuff down or even turn it off for one day to where you stay away from it and do other stuff, talk to people, go for a walk, go to the gym, whatever it is you do, but turn off or turn down the volume on that stuff so you're away for one day, you will have a life-changing experience in terms of, my God, the awareness, the things that will come in, you'll sit. And that's because it's always there. We can't hear it because of the noise. And the noise is literally killing us these days. It is killing us with, anxiety, depression, suicide, because I was feeling so bad. The suicide rates off the charts going up these days. It's all because of the vibrations and the noise and the technology.
And not, working with yourself and being harmonious or working towards that goal. We were talking to someone yesterday and she mentioned a couple things, and you're going to relate to this. She said she was about to work on some new project to, advance her career and finances and whatnot. And in that moment she was about to, and instead she turned on the television. She turned on a show. She mentioned this. Then a little bit later in the convo, she mentioned in general, and people she's been talking to, turning on the podcast or the radio just to get out of your head, just so you don't have to hear anything inside as a distraction. So it's really twofold. It's using the noise to get away, to use it as a distraction. It's using the noise as a distraction, but it's also the noise is the problem. So do you see, it's this never-ending loop.
Circuitous fear keeps going round and round. And what's really interesting about that, there's a whole genre, a whole group of individuals who complain about they really can't stand being alone. And it's the number, if you looked it up in Google, it'll tell you, what's the greatest fear? Fear of being alone. of the 8 billion people on the planet, they all fear being alone. So they turn on the noise because it's a distraction. The really interesting part about it is when we're alone, we're not lonely. We're only alone, but suddenly we can hear the whispering of truth, those inner things that are there all the time guiding us, that general, we call it divine guidance. It's there 24/7. People go, oh my God, I got this new idea and I solved the problem because I listened for 1 minute because I turned off the noise. And trust me, when you're afraid of being alone is lonely are very different things. Being alone gives you that silence that we need for accessing divine guidance and the truth. And we got a few tools also we're going to share with you, very important tools for turning down the volume on that craziness, on the noise.
Yeah, on the art of spiritual warfare. And really, it's all one. So, of course, the number one tool, and if you've been with us at all, you know what it is. It's one magic word. It's vibrational sound therapy, known as the HU. H-U. Why is it the number one tool? It's the shortcut. There is nothing quicker. There is nothing simpler. We've tested everything over 30 years. No joke. Every word, every mantra, every therapy. You know, Michael's a sociologist. I'm a psychologist. And we've experimented to the hilt. That's why we can say with full confidence and knowingness, there is nothing quicker or simpler than the HU.
And it's so simple, so quick. It's hard to believe that anything is, we call it one magic word. And, you know, I hesitate to say that because people go, well, magic sounds like mumbo jumbo, spiritual woo woo, or nothing is real magic. There is no real. Yeah, there is. There's some real magic in this world. I could go down that road with you. But that is the magical sound. And here's the interesting part. All the people we've shared it with, and it's been millions, not one person who actually tried it ever came back and says it didn't work. The only time it doesn't work is if you don't try it and you go, oh, that's got to be bullshit. That can't be that quick. That one simple word. Yeah, it is. And it's the word literally that created the universe. And because of that, it create, you know, in the beginning was the word was, you go to John 1:1 in the Bible. What is that word? Wow. HU. And when we got the HU, we got all the power that created the whole universe. We're powerful at that point, and that's why it works. It will change your life in a heartbeat.
And for anyone that's just joining, we need to give you a demo. What is the HU? What is it? How do you do it? You inhale, and on the exhale, you say HU, like this. HU, and repeat. HU. Now tell me you can't feel the vibrational shift that just occurred. I feel it. I know you can feel it. I know you
and I felt it right away. I felt reality shift to one of harmony and relaxation and peace. It came in immediately. And that was with just a couple of hues. And the reason that it works scientifically, if you think, well, how can something be so effective? It's pure quantum physics. And physics says when we change the vibration, we literally change the reality. So you got that little super string vibrating, and maybe it's vibrating at an anxiety level, 944. Whoa. Suddenly there's a vibration change, the reality changes to one of anxiety, to one of harmony. It's really that simple, that quick. Not many people on the planet know this, but now you know it. And it's the greatest gift we could ever share.
So let me get into it a little more. Okay, so now you know the word. Now you know where the word came from. It comes from the word human, human, God within man. It's in the Oxford English Dictionary, and it's in 14 different religions and their sacred book. See, people used to hew long ago. They used to hew back in Egypt 5,000 years ago at the Sphinx as a society, as a tribe, as a culture to uplift their, the vibe of the times and the vibe of their community. So the hue's been around forever, but now what's happened? Everyone's forgotten about. And that's why we share it emphatically, because that's part of our job, okay? And again, it's free, right? It's free. And it's an inside deal. You know, vibration's huge. Sound and, the sound bath and the bowls and the drums and all these other things. And still, it's an outside apparatus that someone is utilizing to impact their inner structure, right? The HU works from the inside out. It's what you're made of, the vibration at which your innate vibe is hue. Eckankar says hue is the sound of soul. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It's the sound that we make as soul when we and everything vibrates and we're vibrating inwardly.
So the sound of
that's,
soul.
That's simple, the sound of soul.
So,
And, the great news is, back to the warfare thing, it will put us back in a harmonious vibe and protect us. It protects us immediately.
so what I've been trying to say, and I'm going to get there right now. How do you do it? How often? You know how? Out loud, silent, eyes open or closed. Okay, so you can do it in a meeting, and you can do it while you're in the shower, and you can do it before bed. It's good for nightmares and insomnia as well. Up to 20 minutes a day, no more. You could do a 20-minute session. You could do a 5-minute session twice a day, 4 5-minute sessions. You want to start slow and small. That's cool. 1 minute here, 1 minute there. You could do it daily to really set up a daily practice, right? Then you can use it in a pinch. We literally call it in a pinch, And our whole book, what? Just Say Hue. Well, we have a whole book devoted to this, the science and the history and the methodology and the therapy. But anyhow, so the hue is the number one tool, always and forever, with everything. But now we're going to get to offense and defense all in one with the 4-step protection exercise. The 4-step protection.
Well, what's that? 4-step protection.
Oh, this thing is badass. Okay, so you hue up. Okay, do you know you have an aura? I wonder. We all have an aura, an auric field. It's your energy field. That's all. So when you meet someone, they got a good vibe and a bad vibe. You're picking up on their aura. And again, the rate and frequency at which someone vibrates. That's all. So you hue up your aura. It's all imagination. This technique takes 5 seconds. And you do it all in your imagination. You hue up your aura. You could see little HUs filling your aura, or you could just see the word hue. You wrap yourself in white light, like a scarf around yourself. White light wrap, then reverse mirrors. Reverse mirrors. So what is that? This confuses people sometimes, but so here we go. Reverse mirrors. Mirrors are facing, you're inside the mirrors. The mirrors are facing outward. So if someone sees you, looks at you, sends you a vibe, the vibe bounces off the mirror and goes back to the sender. So you're inside the mirror, you're wrapped with mirrors. Mirrors are facing outside. Lastly, the invocation, anything that's not of the light must leave. Okay? That would include all vibrations and anything negative. So, first step, hue up your aura, wrap yourself with white light, wrap yourself with reverse mirrors, and say anything that's not of the light must leave. Boom. Did you want to add?
The mirrors work so well because literally it will bounce back. And as you get into black magic, and we're not going to talk about that today, but it's been around forever, thousands of years, very strong, powerful black magic. People tend to try to go inward and affect your vibrations, and they can go to the point where it can kill a person. And the interesting part is, with the techniques that Dr. Nic has just provided to you, when they do that with the reverse mirrors, it will bounce directly back to them. So you've got an offensive and defensive spiritual warfare weapon. It'll go back and kick their ass is what will happen. And it's almost instantaneously. So how great is that weapon?
And it's karma free. Yes.
Because it's on them. You're not doing it. You're
not doing
yourself.
nothing.
Yep. It's all on them.
Protected yourself.
Yep.
So you're insulated, you're protected, and that's cool, and you don't need to worry about it or think about it. But yeah, that's what's going to happen. It's going to bounce and bounce back, and yeah. So and if you have kids, if they're under 18, you can set this up for your kids. If they're over 18, they need to do it themselves. You don't set these things up for other people, because then you violate their spiritual freedom. You violate their space. Okay. You can share the technique with someone, and then if they choose to do it, that's on them. But yeah, so share the technique because it works. There's a TV clip we did. My client, she let the ghost in. Yes, she saw, the kid, the 5-year-old, she was 4. Anyway, she wouldn't go to sleep. They had an entity in the house, a ghost in the house. The little girl, kids the age of 5 and younger, they can see ghosts. They can see your aura in colors. That's why they draw outside the lines, color outside the lines and things. And she saw the ghost in the house. She said, it's a little girl with messy hair and a dirty dress, and she's in my room and she wants to play and I'm not. And that's it. And so I'm doing the client, the mom is my client, and we're in the session, and she says, so I don't know. And I said, what have you done lately? I said, you've done the Ouija board, you had a psychic reading, what? She goes, oh my God, I had a psychic over 2 weeks ago. I said, well, the psychic came, the psychic brought a ghost or an entity, it's the same thing, with her. The psychic left, the ghost or entity stayed. And now you've got an entity in the house. Okay. So NBC came in, they did a whole investigative piece. We have the TV clip. But anyhow, bottom line, the ghost was gone and the little girl was sleeping in her bed that same night. So it works for ghosts. That was my whole point, getting rid of the vibes.
And that's really a part of spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
Dealing with entities, negative beings, ghosts. Those things are around. They really are. And a lot of it affects us on a daily basis. So you've got the hue and you've got the reverse mirrors and the white light. You've got some tools that can literally protect you against everything and anything and kick butt. So you really have it all. But I mean, these are the most powerful tools in the universe beyond anything that's known right now. So.
Yeah. So absolutely. So just to recap as Michael did, you got the hue and the 4-step protection, and you do these things on the daily, and you do it when you start your day. Of course, you can do it anytime throughout the day. The best time is to start your day. Then you have a good day and you're protected all day long. You can also do the 4-step on your house and your car, because these vibes linger. They linger, they linger, they linger. So it's all about the blending of vibes and protecting yourself, insulating yourself, and living the good life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget, hue it up.
All right, guys, we're out. Bye.